Hello, today we're going to be reading 4 Years Gone By, Chapter 4, Troubled Years, Grade 10. On September 22nd, 2010, I asked my networking book family, what should I do at lunchtime on September 23rd? Eat by myself or what? Selena Ray replied, eat with a friend, don't eat alone. It's lonely, and you don't want to establish yourself as a loner who eats alone, because then you might get stuck eating alone all the time. My school friends were mad at me, that's why I asked. On October 6, 2010, I started disliking some of the students at Panthers United because they were bullying me more. My friend Rebecca from Wildcats East said on my networking book, don't listen to them. They're just stupid and have nothing better to do. Just remember, they are not going anywhere, but you are. Rebecca's comment made me feel better. I used to call my teachers the mean ones butt monkeys, which was funny, but I never meant it in a bad way. I haven't said those words in years though, but that's good. I don't need to say those words anymore anyway. On October 18, 2010, I was on my networking book again, and it said, I dislike certain students at my school. Someone asked, why? I said, if that thing Dumbo was dating calls me horrible names again, I will smack her upside the head. It's an iPod. It's not my fault that music app deleted all its data. Okay, maybe it was my fault. The next day, Jackie Smith walked up to me in the cafeteria and said, if you don't give me the iPod back, I will tell Principal Gates. I said, go tell him. I then threw the iPod on the table, and she took it. Jackie was being rude while swearing at Della, Elizabeth, and I that day. It got to the point where I called Jackie a bad name. I don't remember what it was, though, but one day she was at our school, and the next day she never came back. On October 20th, 2010, I mentioned on my networking book I disliked some of the students who were in my science class. Lena Florence thought she was tough and said, I'm going to punch you out. I replied, there better be 2 hits. You hit me and I hit the ground. Otherwise, God help you. I didn't receive a response after that. Another day in science class, Adria Antonio bullied Alexandra and me. She wouldn't leave us alone, and one day the principal came in and just stood there. Did absolutely nothing to help us. I wanted them to leave us alone. We hadn't done anything to those girls either. One day, Adria came to my parents' house in the backyard to see Angie Anthony. Then it made sense on why she bullied me. I never forgave her, and she never apologized. She wasn't nice to me in school, but when she came over to see Angie, she was nice to me. She asked me for a glass of water. I could have said no, but Dad told me to get her some water. So I went into the house and got her some anyway. But if he didn't say anything, I would have said, no, you bullied me. I don't have to give you anything. Fudge off, and I wouldn't have said it nicely either. Another day, during lunch, Adria recorded me on video because her video camera she had then was new, and she thought that it was okay to film me. I wonder if she still has that video. I was mad at someone and was throwing chairs around in the cafeteria, but I don't remember why. Della was with me, and she got out of the way fast. Sometimes I would hide in between the fence of the stadium when I saw my bullies walk in my way. There was always more than one bully who would walk together to bully my siblings, friends, and me. And sometimes I could hear the bully with the loudest mouth walking down the street I was on, and that gave me a chance to run off and hide. That was a blessing to me as well. I was afraid that they would beat me up there and then, and I just didn't want to deal with them. Most of the time, I would just hide it there, out of sight, until I couldn't see or hear them anymore, especially if I was by myself, and most of the time I was alone. Other times, I would hide in the bus stop shelters during lunch if I left the school grounds during that time. It seemed that those were the only places I could hide and find comfort in if I was near the school. In a way, the stadium was a blessing for me, especially when that one gate was open. The gate is no longer there, by the way, because they rebuilt the stadium. The bus stops were also a blessing to me because I could hide in the bus shelters without the bullies seeing me when they walked past. And I was safe because if they weren't getting on the bus at that stop, they wouldn't see me in the bus shelter either. On October 26, 2010, I set a goal to be in school every day, but it never happened. The bullying and depression got worse. The depression got worse because I never talked about it. I didn't want to get beaten up or hospitalized, so I kept it bottled up inside and made it worse for myself. The bullies knew I couldn't stand up to them, so they used that against me. On November 4th, 2010, my mom responds to one of my networking book statuses and says, you are all supposed to be trying to save your school, not fighting. I'm saddened by all of you kids these days. I have 3 going there who all have issues with other kids, but they like the school and are trying to do their best. Considering they have been picked on nearly every day since we moved here in 2006. I am proud of them and just wish you all would stop fighting. That status was about the school closing, and then it ended up turning into a fight instead of how do we save the school? Why don't we fight to save it instead? But no matter how hard we fought for our school and whatnot, they still took the school away and tore it down. On November 25th, 2010, during photography class, Della and I were taking pictures around the school of things that looked like letters, and I think taking pictures for the yearbook as well. But we were too busy chasing the principal on the first floor until we ended up on the second floor stairwell. And that's when he finally gave in and let us take a quick picture so we could put it into the yearbook. I don't think the picture taken of him ever made its way into the yearbook, though. I don't know why I bothered to continue caring about someone who hated me from the very beginning. In grade 10, I tried to throw my empty milk carton into the trash can in the cafeteria, but it accidentally ended up hitting another male student instead. So that girl, Dana, ended up getting in my face. She put her arms up at me and told me to hit her. In my head, I'm like, are we really doing this? What a loser. Seriously? It's not like I meant to hit him. But in my defense, they weren't even standing there when I threw the carton that way. But I kept saying no because she was looking for a fight and I wasn't having it. So Miss Bakerson walks towards the cafeteria, looking our way as she comes into the cafeteria and tells both of us to go to the office. As we were walking out, I said to Della, I should have committed suicide when I had the chance. And Della says, don't say that. After we left the office, Vice Principal Polo and I went to look for the other student who I accidentally threw the milk carton at, so I could apologize to him, and I never did it again. That other girl had it out for me and hated me since day one in that school, and I didn't even do anything to her. She really did want to beat me up, but thankfully it never happened. I'll never understand why people think that violence is the answer to their problems. And I hadn't done anything to Dana to deserve any of her bullying nonsense either. She always mentioned to me that her mother had died when she was younger, or something like that, and I said, I'm sorry to hear that. But what did her mother passing away have to do with Dana bullying me in the first place? So that was one of the reasons why she bullied me, while using her mother's passing as an excuse, and that was no excuse to bully or be rude to me either. My siblings and I attended a few of the Hamilton Tiger Cats and Hamilton Bulldogs games every time the staff would give their students tickets. That's how I became a fan of the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Hamilton Bulldogs. I had never been to any of the games before until I started high school. And it was cool to have been able to attend live games for the first time when I was a teenager. On December 17, 2010, I was accused of telling Principal Gates and Mr. Randy Rams to shut up by a classmate, and she said, you told them to shut up during science class. I said, yeah, whatever. I don't see how I could have when I was in the gym watching the talent show. I told Annabelle Ross to leave me alone, and I said, what is your problem? Do you like them or something? And Annabelle said, yes, I do like them. And I said, if you have a problem, go and talk to them. After the talent show in 2010, 2011, or 2012, I honestly can't remember what year it was, I was on my way out of the school and with Bethany. And I saw Alicia Payton kick someone's backpack that was lying on the floor by their bike rack's door to go outside. The backpack wasn't in anyone's way when she got mad about it because she tripped over it. I said, that wasn't very nice. Why did you kick that bag? She didn't like that I spoke up, and she wanted to fight me. There was always a student at that school who wanted to fight and beat me up half the time for no reason at all. Miss Payne was there that day, and she saw what happened. I was in the right. She shouldn't have kicked that bag. She wanted to tell Principal Gates what I said. Therefore, one of the educational assistants told us to just go home and ignore it. Bethany and I left the school soon after, so Alicia couldn't start a fight, but she did cause a scene in the school before we left. On January 26, 2011, I said this on my networking book. When I graduate, I will have a hard time with the real world in college, knowing that those teachers won't be there to help me. I love Panthers United. I don't want to see anyone tear it down. My family had to borrow a black Dodge Charger back in 2010, 2011 because our van was being fixed. Bianca laughed at me and said, your family's never going to be able to afford that car. She knew it wasn't ours, and I told her that it was a rental. We have never owned one of those cars, so it didn't bother me at all that she was laughing about it. I shrugged it off and didn't care what she said. I just continued walking to the school like your opinion of us not being able to ever afford that car doesn't matter. One day in March of 2011, during the Aboriginal event held at Panthers United, Elizabeth and I were in Principal Gates' office. I said, you have a butt chin, that's cute. I was just messing with him at that point. His face went red. Where did the days go where he wasn't mean to me, or was he acting then too? Principal Gates also received an award, which I don't think he deserved. and he was full of smiles. People got pictures of the event as well, but no one could take pictures at that moment when he accepted his award. I wonder why. Then the girls' drumming group started their performance, and they put on a good show. Elizabeth was a part of the drumming too. Bethany got into an argument with Jada. Walbert got into Principal Gates' face when he came to pick us up. I thought Walbert was going to hit him because of the way he was standing. I made sure we all left the school before Walbert could do anything dumb. Why didn't I just let Walbert hit him? Probably because I didn't want to see him go to jail because of something stupid that happened in their past that got thrown back at me. Wow, holding grudges much, Principal Gates? Also, we made sure that Bethany couldn't get into a fight with Jada. As we were leaving the school, Angie spit on Principal Gates' truck. That was disgusting. I think she only did that because I told her that was his truck. In 2011, a couple of photos were taken to be put into a Hamilton photography newspaper. 12 students, including myself, were modeling clothing, body products, and purses in the walk-in closet. The glamour and walk-in closet were there to provide students with clean clothing and hygiene products. And sometimes, if needed, our families would get items as well, because we didn't always have the funding for those items and because we lived below the poverty line. In 2011, in Miss Berta's civics class, Elizabeth and I would walk into the classroom and argue with each other. Not a normal sibling relationship. This was everyday fighting. I was sat by the window. Everybody in the classroom would back off every time we would bicker at each other. The teachers only cared if there was fighting between students, not siblings. In co-op class in 2011, Miss Collins asked me to move a desk over to the other desk, and Gracie James gave me attitude because of it. Mrs. Collins said something to me. I raised my voice and said, "I know." I was mad because that student gave me attitude for no reason. She told me to get out when I picked up my backpack. She said, "Leave that stuff here." I said, "No, I don't trust anyone in here." I then slammed the classroom door and sat by the lockers. Miss Flower was in the room when that happened. They never saw me like that before. Miss Payne walked down the third-floor hallway and saw me crying. She came over and asked, "What is wrong?" I replied, "Mrs. Collins yelled at me because Gracie gave me attitude when I moved the desk. I gave Mrs. Collins attitude back because of it. She sat down beside me and made me feel better. She probably thought that crying over it was dumb." Soon after that, Mrs. Collins came out of the room and said, "Calm down. Take the attendance to the office." After I did what she asked, I went home, and of course, the next day I returned to the school. She had given me trouble for leaving after she had already signed me in on the attendance sheet. Connie Horton bullied my siblings and me a lot from 2006 until 2011. She was the worst bully out of all of them. She would say mean things about us and call Mom a Lupa whale, as if she's calling her fat without calling her that, and called her other nasty names too. I defended Mom a lot and wouldn't let that bully call Mama names. Connie went to my high school a year after my siblings and I did, bullying us more there too. She also threatened us as well, making herself look good in front of her friends. They always bullied classmates they knew who couldn't stand up for themselves. There were other kids who bullied us, but they got away with it. I remembered an event that happened in 2006, and it happened way before I entered grade 9, but I still want to speak about it. It may help other people deal with bullies, as well as their parents. Not all parents are bullies, but that mother of my bully was a bully. My city elementary and high school bully had been bullying us one day. While Connie's mother spit in my mom's face and was arguing and fighting with Mom in front of her kids and in front of my siblings on Fullerton Avenue. And Connie also threatened to beat up Elizabeth and I that day. We hadn't even done anything to these people and didn't deserve that nonsense either. Like, no matter what we did or who we told, we were always to blame. Like, what did you do for them to bully you? And they would never help us. No bullying tolerance in that school. Yet the principal told me he takes no poop in that school, but he allowed bullying to happen there anyway. Thankfully, the bullying of most of the students slowed down in 2012 and early 2013. One day at lunch in 2011, I was standing outside with Della, and a second later, Connie began calling my mom and family names again. She also threatened to hospitalize Elizabeth and me, and we never did anything to her to deserve to be bullied by her. One day in 2008, during lunch in grade 8 at Wildcats East, Connie pushed me into the road after I came back from the candy store. I was shaking, and I called my parents from the nutrition room, and Dad came to take me home. I hated that school. No one cared about the bullying that was going on. I was crying, and Dad gave me a hug to make me feel better. I looked up at my English teacher, Mr. Alexander Bennett, and he gave me a small smile, sort of like a sympathy smile. Dad and I then went home. I didn't want to go back to that school ever again, but I had to go back to finish school. Another day during lunch, I was minding my own business, walking back to the school from co-op at the Prince of Darkness Elementary School Daycare Center, when Connie and Nora were both bullying and calling me names again. I started calling Connie a bad name and went into the school. I was walking towards the cafeteria when Nora stopped me at the fitness room. She said, "Connie's beyond that name you called her." I don't think I even responded at that point because I didn't care. I went home and told Mom about it instead of the school. Mom called the school and Connie was removed. One less bully we had to worry about. It's pathetic when a parent must call any school to have a bully removed, or to get the students to stop bullying each other, and to also get the teachers or principals to finally do something about it, or they make it worse. One of Nora's younger friends committed suicide because she was bullied a lot. It bothered me so much, and I didn't even know who the girl was. Rest in peace, kiddo. No one should ever have to feel the need to commit suicide because of being bullied or not being heard. Nora held an event to remember and support her friend. I wore purple, but what I didn't understand was why Nora bullied me too. It bothered us a lot. That's when I wouldn't say anything to anyone, because I didn't want Louie, Elizabeth, or I to get hurt. That's when I ended up with severe depression, and I didn't want to go to school. If I did, I would skip classes. I would go somewhere else, like parks, or just stay at home. I never roamed the hallways in the school during my first 2 years there. I hated school because even when I spoke up, nobody would do anything to help us. But in 2013, I grew a backbone and finally told the school board what was going on. But it took a very big push from my mom and grandmother to do that. They didn't want me to end my life because of the bullying and stuff going on, because they saw that I could make a difference and that other bullied kids and anyone else would need my voice. And along the way, I wasn't only doing this for me, but I was also helping other students who couldn't speak up about the bullying going on, because certain adults in the school weren't dealing with it, or they were bullying the students as well. Few of the Bad Apple staff members got into trouble because they didn't care nor did anything to help my siblings, friends, other students, and I with the bullying. Students bullied us nonstop because they knew it bothered us and that we couldn't defend ourselves. They wanted people to hurt and drive to suicide, but they didn't win. We are all still alive, better and stronger than ever. Like, what do you get out of bullying? Like, are you that insecure that you need to bully others to make yourself feel better? Just because you bully someone, it doesn't make you cool. It just makes you a sad, pathetic person for bullying. You bully to make yourself feel better and fit into a certain group of friends at school or whatever. I would rather be alone than bully someone to fit into a group that I don't care to be a part of in the first place. The one thing I remember about Dina Medina was that her and her friends bullied us a lot, especially in gym class, and then she didn't come back to school until 2011. One day in 2011, Dina came up to Elizabeth and me after co-op class and apologized for bullying us in grade 9. It was the most unexpected moment in school. I accepted her apology. She was the only one who said sorry for bullying us, but she didn't stay long as she left the school again and never came back. Elizabeth ran away from the school one day because she was being picked on and someone wanted to fight her. I remember seeing Miss Payne walking in the hallway and I was talking to her about it. She called Mom, or someone called Mom, to tell her what was going on, and I also ran out of the school to look for Elizabeth. By the time I ran to the parking lot beside the stadium on Cannon Street East and Blossom Avenue, she was already gone. And that's the end of chapter 4. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry about all the mess ups. I gotta improve that. Sorry. Hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe. Bye.